I'm Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 380. Welcome to Thinner Peace in Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello. All my dear friends all over the world. How are you today? It's a beautiful day here, and I know I usually say that, but it's really on the way that you look at it, right? And to me, it is beautiful. And I have some really interesting things that I'd like to talk to you about today, because as I told you in the last podcast, or you might remember, I'm in the middle of a group program right now, my Thinner Peace in Menopause group program. We're right in the middle of it. And one of the things that we're working on and that I'm coaching people on is something I'd like to share with you today. I did this last time too, talking about food journaling and what some of my group members were going through. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about mindset and how to handle a vacation in a way that will serve you the best. And the reason that I say that is because sometimes, maybe when you're going to go on vacation, or sometimes when you think you're celebrating, what do you end up doing when you think these things? When you're going on vacation, what do you think when you're going on vacation that may make you feel more at peace with food or less at peace with food? What is it that you think when you're going out to celebrate, or you're in a social situation? What are the things that you're thinking that may lead you to overeating or overdoing? What is it? And that's really the topic of today, and some of the things that I coached on in our last group session that I think may be really helpful to you. Because at least this is the way I was for 30 years, is that anytime I thought I was celebrating and there was food around, my idea, my mindset around that was, you can just leave, because I am not going to be paying attention to anything that goes into your mouth. So you can just do whatever you want and pretend like your body is a garbage disposal. Now, I didn't say that, but that's kind of how I treated it. And I know this with the clients that I've worked with over the years, and especially in this group program with one particular person that I was working with. I noticed the mindset and helped her see her mindset better so that she could change it and become more peaceful with food, with a mindset of either celebrating or being on vacation. How you can make more peace with food, maybe not even lose weight, but just feel normal. And what I mean by normal is have a good relationship with food. In other words, you don't make it mean you have to leave your body because you can't pay attention, but you actually get to enjoy yourself more. Because isn't celebrating supposed to mean all about enjoying yourself? And when you go on vacation, isn't it all about wanting to enjoy yourself more? I do believe that is the case. And I think that when you tell yourself you can do whatever you want, it's like telling a kid, hey, you can run around with a knife for a long time. Don't get too bloody, but go ahead and use the knife. As opposed to saying, give me the knife because it's dangerous, and let me show you a way that will be much safer, and you will enjoy yourself more because you won't be afraid of hurting yourself. So here is what happened. I was coaching one of my clients, And she was actually on this exquisite, as she put it, wine vacation. And she wanted to make sure that she got on the call with us because she was going off the rails, quote unquote, is what she said. And she wanted to help see her mind clearly so she would stop it. So after coaching her for a while, these are one of the things that we figured out is that one of the thoughts that she was using when she was on this vacation is she didn't want to have to control herself with food and drink. And that was something that came up while I was coaching her that she actually didn't want to. It's not like she couldn't control herself. It's not like the food was doing something to her. She was just making a decision that she didn't want to have to do it. And that led to almost a feeling of entitlement, like she was entitled to do whatever she wanted. And that created over drinking and overeating, especially when she also thought that she couldn't control herself as much as she was drinking. Now, I don't know how much, but I think the thing for all of us to remember is that when you think something, you will create evidence to prove it to be true. So let's just say you think, hey, whenever I drink, I can't control myself. You could have 3 sips of wine, and with the thought that you can't control yourself, you'll be eating all over the place because of the thought, not because of the wine. Now, listen, I understand. There comes a time when if you're drinking alcohol, it might be so effective that you can't. But for most of you, I don't think you drink enough that you can't control yourself if you believed you could. At least for me, I believe that I can drink wine and I can control myself. And I also use wine as a joy eat or a joy drink. So let me go over a couple of the types of eating that I use in my program. And then let me show you how I coached her, how I would coach you if you're on vacation or you're celebrating. So one of the types of eating that I have is called fuel eating. And fuel eating just means that you're choosing food that you believe is nutritious for your body. Doesn't matter how hungry or full you are, it just matters that that's the type of food that you're choosing. So if you're choosing a vegetable like broccoli, you would call that fuel. For most people, that is. Now, I also have a type of eating that's called joy eating. And joy eating is basically eating a non-nutritious food, but eating it bite by bite and stopping it the minute that you're done. So that can include wine, that can include sugar, flour, chips, foods that have no nutritious value, if you believe they have no nutritious value, but you like the taste of them. And I think these foods are scary to people who have been on diets their whole life because just like my client that I was coaching, believed that she didn't want to have to control herself or that she couldn't control herself. And what I want you to take away from this podcast today is that you can choose joy eats or joy drinks and stay in control and be perfectly at peace with what you're doing and enjoying everything around you more because you're staying connected to your body. So you have a joy eat, you have fuel eating, and then there's also something called fog eating. And fog eating is anytime you have a joy eat that's not done mindfully, or you're trying to fill an emotion as opposed to actually enjoy the food that you're putting in your mouth. That would end up becoming a joy/fog. The same thing with fuel. If you're eating a nutritious food and you're overeating it, and on my hunger scale, it goes from a -10 to a +10. I recommend you eat between the twos. Start at a -2, stop at a +2. If you're overeating, you're going beyond a +2. That would then become a fuel/fog. Now, there's another concept that I teach that's called fuel joy eating, where you can combine joy fog, fuel fog. You also can combine joy and fuel. So you can have a fuel/joy meal. Now, This is what I was talking about to my client in our last group session, because I think a lot of you, herself included, that believed if she was celebrating, it was black and white. She was either on or she was off. And what I started teaching her, this concept, is what I want to teach you today about celebrating social situations, vacations, is that you can become much, much more mindful and still have more joy eats than maybe you would eat regularly. Maybe not. But let's just say you're on vacation and you want to choose more joy eats. Wouldn't it be better to decide you're going to have a joy eat, you're going to be mindful about it, you're going to do it in the true definition of how I explain it, which means that if you're going to have a drink, a glass of wine, you're going to enjoy it sip by sip. And the minute you're enjoying it, you feel the enjoyment, you feel yourself, you stop. Because what your mind is going to do, because of the dopamine effect, is, oh my gosh, that was so good, more would be better, which is not mindful, and which leads into either a joy fog or a fuel fog or a joy slash fuel slash fog. So a lot of people could end up on vacation or social situations or celebrating in joy fuel fogs. Now, my recommendation to you and to her was, instead of all or nothing, why don't you just decide that every meal is going to be mindful, which means you're either going to do a fuel eat between the twos, you're going to choose a joy food, and you're going to enjoy it bite by bite and stop the minute you're done. It's not based on the hunger scale, joy foods. Joy foods are based on enjoyment, so you're actually going to be eating less. So what if, and this is what I suggested to her, and this is what I'm going to suggest to you, anytime you feel or you think I'm celebrating, the first thought I want you to think is, I can be at peace with food and I can enjoy myself even more. I can eat what I want and stay connected to my body. And I think that when it's this black and white thinking that I can only do one or the other, I actually think that it takes away from the celebration. It takes away from everything that you really wanting, which is more enjoyment. And you can use food and enjoy it and everything else that you're doing in a celebration. Or for instance, for my client when she was on her wine trip, is that what if you could enjoy the people that are around you, the wines that you're tasting, and the food, but you could do it mindfully? So no all or nothing. I'm just not going to pay attention. I'm just going to leave, and you can just do whatever you want, like a little kid with a knife. Instead, you decide, I'm going to stay and I'm going to choose a joy fuel meal, which means there's going to be some nutritious food. There's going to be some non-nutritious food. There's going to be a joy eat and there's going to be a fuel eat. You're going to combine them. And if you're combining them, you're using the fuel mostly to fill your gas tank up, your stomach up, and you're using the joy eat for enjoyment. So you won't be eating as much of it, but you can combine it so you can have both. So if it were a glass of wine, you would do it sip by sip. You wouldn't have glasses and glasses because it wouldn't be mindful. You would stop the minute you're through enjoying it. So you would be having everything that you want. It's just that you would be doing it in a way where you were staying connected. Now, in the beginning, when you're staying connected to your body and you're doing joy fuel eats and you haven't had a lot of practice, you may notice your mind coming up with thoughts, oh, that was so good, I want more. Or I never do this, I should just do it all. Or I'm never going to eat it again. When you're connected, you're going to notice how your mind is going to come up with these fantastic ideas of how you can overeat or overjoy eat and end up in a fog. But when you can tell yourself, I can eat whatever I want, I just want to stay connected, as opposed to eat whatever you want and disconnect. Eat whatever you want and stay connected, which means you stop at your twos and you enjoy every bite of a joy eat and you stop the minute that you're done. It's called a joy fuel eat, not a joy fuel fog, a joy fuel eat, totally connected. Enjoying your celebration, enjoying the people, enjoying yourself, and also staying 100% connected and managing your mind when it has thoughts that will not serve you, because all you have to say is, I can have it again when I'm hungry. This isn't the last time. Just because it's delicious doesn't mean I have to keep eating. I can have it again when I'm hungry. You just start working with all of these thought errors that have been causing more urges and causing you to overeat. So let me review with you what I want you to do the next time you're on vacation, or the next time you're thinking about celebrating when you're on vacation, or when you go out with your friends, or when you're with your spouse, or when you're with whoever you're with, where your brain goes to, this is celebration time, let's check out. This is celebration time, let's check in. Let's make it more fun. Let's make it better. And this is the way you start becoming at peace with food. You may not lose weight, but I'll tell you what, you'll be much, much more comfortable around food. And being at peace with food will allow you to lose weight when you stop. It's all or nothing. So wherever it is, or wherever you're going, or whoever you're with, you're going to stay connected. That's the beginning. You're going to choose joy fuel eats when it's appropriate. And listen, just like the client that I was talking to, there are times on this vacation where she's going to choose all fuel foods too and eat between the twos. When you know you can do whatever you want, you're not going to be all over the place. There's going to be many times when a fuel meal looks wonderful and it's exactly what you want, when you don't have thoughts in your head about what you can't do and what you can't eat, because you don't have peace with food. When you have peace with food, you want a lot of it, a lot less, when you believe you can have what you want. So this is your practice this week, a joy fuel eat. I can celebrate and stay connected. I can go on vacation and I can stay connected. I can be at peace no matter where I go with food, as long as I stay connected to myself. And of course, this week, as every single week, no matter where you go and no matter what you do, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourself, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change, and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change, CHANGE.